Alright, we're rolling. So, this is Rubell Art and Power. So, what am I going to start off with? I think we're gonna start by talking about good old Trump. It's always a good topic. Since this is the first episode of Art and Power, we're just gonna run through it, see how it goes. Let me put my my stopwatch on here. Everyone's getting real hung up on tariffs. It's like, so, you know, we've been getting screwed forever, right? Like, you know, cheap stuff doesn't just happen. You know, all these manufacturing companies going overseas, everything's gone, and we have all this cheap stuff that we're getting at Walmart. You know, there's a trade-off. And now we are trying to right the boat, and it's gonna be a little bumpy. So it's not a surprise. You know, it sounds like that's about what needs to happen. You know, it's like I don't know which Supreme Court judge it was that said pornography. You know it when you see it. You know, it's like the truth. You know it when you hear it. Tariffs, trade imbalance is a real thing, and our war with China has been a real one, and it's been a financial one. They've been stealing our intellectual property for decades, you know, and we've been letting them, you know. Like, what the hell are we doing? You know, and here's somebody like Trump that's gonna come in and say, "Hey, enough's enough," and we're fighting for it. We're fighting him over it. You know, we're like, you know, don't do it. For God's sakes, man! Like, we've been selling ourselves out for years and years and years to China. I mean, China sent over a balloon. And they just let it fly around. And Biden tried to make it like, oh, those crazy chinks, they don't know what they're doing. Oh, you know, they didn't mean it, you know. They didn't take him seriously. They didn't take Joe Biden seriously. You know? They take Trump seriously. They do. You know? A lot of people here in America don't. It's unfortunate. You know, seeing people like burning Tesla vehicles and stuff like that. It's just like, oh, really? You're that mad? You're that angry that you're gonna go do that? You're gonna go. Just. What's your plan? What do you? How are you going to make it better? What's your idea? You know, you've got the solution, right? Okay, just give sex changes for everybody and health care for everybody, and everything's gonna work out, right? You know, no, it's not like that. Good Lord, you know, it's like, no wonder Trump won. You know, there's enough sane people. I was frightened. I was really frightened. I really was. I thought, I mean, because, you know, you see what happened in Nazi Germany. You see how easily people can be swayed. And it's not that people are bad. It's that people want to belong, you know. And if the price of belonging is saying this thing is bad, verboten, you know, the Jews are bad, Trump is bad, you know, that's what you have to say in order to be with the group and stay safe. Okay, yeah, Trump's bad, Jews are bad, you know. It's a great irony, I think, really, when they call Trump a fascist and they call him Hitler and stuff like that. You know, it's like, you guys need to look in the mirror. You guys are the scary ones. You guys are the people that would be sending people off in trains. Yeah, it's you. It's you. It's not us. You know, yeah, I mean, the hatred that you see on the people that scream for tolerance so shrilly, those are the people that, you know, you can see rounding people up, you know, those deplorables, those terrible people, those terrible red hats, those racists, those bigots. They deserve it. They deserve it. It's that same kind of hatred. Hatred is hatred. You know, it's identical. You know, so it's very scary. I think it's very similar to what happened in Nazi Germany. People get overcome. You know. It defies their common sense. The need to belong, the need to belong to the group, the need to be not criticized is so strong that they will say, you know, up is down, right is wrong, left is right. You know, in order to stay with the group. You know, and it's dangerous. And it's hard because it's hard to say it's hard to say the right thing. You know, sometimes the truth is hard to defend and to stick up for. It's not popular. You know, we had a border crisis. You know, you can't just let everybody just come in and live and have free health care. It's not realistic. Can't do it. You know? You know, and really, you wouldn't want to live in a world where everybody was just equal, you know. That'd be the height of boredom, you know. You don't want to see people suffer, of course, you know. And you see people suffer, say, why? Well, you know, it's just like the common theme. Why are some people living so well and other people are living in cardboard boxes? It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not. We haven't fixed that problem yet, but still, there are problems that we can fix. Things like fixing the border. Things like, you know, the Keystone Pipeline. You know, bringing jobs back here. You know, charity starts at home. You know, there's a lot of things that we don't have answers for, and that we want answers for. It's not wrong to ask for them. You know, no one wants someone living on the street. You know, but it's not a crime to live in a mansion because someone's living on the street. I think that's oftentimes what happens. We get this idea that it's wrong, and that translates into a lot of other things, like we talk about whiteness, or like it's sinful somehow to be successful. Why? There's nothing sinful about being successful. You work hard, you should be successful. That's the dream, right? That's the whole reason. And then you get to give it to whoever is undeserving or deserving or whatever, and that makes life unfair, and yada yada yada, and the whole Pandora's box is open, and yeah. But that's the price we pay for living in a world with free will. If God just got to come down and make everything right every time somebody did something wrong, we wouldn't be living lives that were meaningful in any way. Every time somebody, every time John stole his neighbor's morning newspaper, God said, you gotta fix that. What kind of life would we have? We have free will, and the price for free will is a lot of pain and a lot of problems. But problems have solutions, and we can fix them. And so that's what we're doing, And we do it through politics. We do it through power. We do it through art and power. Represent. So this is what I like to call, snobbishly, the archives room. It's where I keep all my books, all my records, all my drawings, all my notes, all my letters, all my schemes and plans to take over the world. I got them all here. Some organized, some not. Some brought to fruition, some not. Got it all up here. So, if you want to learn about how read Egyptian, got a book about it. Want to learn about I like the Beatles a lot. As you can see, I got a whole shelf over here. I like the Beatles a lot. I like Roman history a lot. Here, let me show you something. Oh, they're probably gonna fall when I bring it over here. This is every Roman emperor from the time just before Julius Caesar was assassinated in 44 BC, right here. Every Roman emperor, except all the usurpers, all those bastards in the 3rd century, all the way down to Julian II. And that scoundrel Galba lost his placard, but you can learn a lot just from Roman history. That's Augustus over there, that guy. That's Tiberius. He was the emperor when Christ was crucified. Nero was the guy who filled while Rome burned. And what we got here? Vespasian. He built the amphitheater, the Colosseum, I got it built in Legos over here. Then we go down through there. These are the 5 good emperors. You got Nerva, all your favorites. Trajan. Hadrian, Antoninus Pius. Marcus Aurelius. Who doesn't love Marcus Aurelius? Come on, people. Meditations. Life was all pretty good through this era. All through here. You get to around 211. And mind you, we started about 27 BC. So about 211 years, things start getting a little hectic, a little crazy. The coinage starts getting a little bit more less significant. Right around here is where Christianity became the dominant religion of the Roman Empire. So all that time, basically, Nero was the first person to persecute the Christians. He burned them alive. And then there weren't really any big problems. There were some problems that were written to Trajan about Christians by Livy, I think. But they kept a low profile all through this time. You see, where's Philip the Arab? He's around. Some people think that Philip the Arab was in fact a Christian at one point. We don't know that for sure, though. But finally, we get down to Constantine and Diocletian. Constantine. This is the last period where we have real persecution against the Christians in the 4th century, around 312. And then Constantine becomes the sole emperor and makes Christianity legal, and eventually it overcomes and becomes the official religion of the Roman Empire. Julian the Apostate over here tried to turn it back around, turn back the hands of time, turn back to paganism, but he was unsuccessful. And then it all kind of fell apart. And that's kind of where we are, maybe, right now. That's why learning about Roman history, especially, is pretty important. Because the Romans had a very high standard of living. They were very sophisticated. They had lives very much like ours. Lawyers, doctors, actors. What the equivalent of movie stars. They had lives very much like ours. Standard of living very much like ours. And it all fell apart. Civilization is not guaranteed. When we had COVID, when COVID struck in 2019, 2020, you started to see the cracks come out. You started to see, wow, you started seeing your neighbors act a little bit weird towards you, 6 feet, people were acting weird. It really did seem, there was a little bit of there was it almost felt like society was on the brink, or the closest it had come to breaking down. Uh, we take for granted. We think that we're just going to keep on going on forever and ever and ever, and everything's going to go okay. And there is no evidence of that at all. History says that does not happen. Every empire, every civilization has crashed and burned. Terribly. Think about it. It happens. So, civilization is not guaranteed. We are not that smart. We think we're so smart. We're not that smart. Not that smart. There are a lot of smart people in the ancient world too. Marcus Aurelius, smart dude. Smart dude. He was a smart one. Couldn't stop it. In fact, his son started the end of the Roman Empire. Civilization is not guaranteed. It is. We are so close to it all crumbling and falling apart. We need to fight for it. It is desperate, urgent, and that's what this show is going to be about. So let's see where we're at. We're at 21 minutes. Yeah. Civilization is not guaranteed. People could resort to tribalism like that, and we see it all the time. I mean, gosh, we see it all the time, don't we? I mean, when we talked about Nazis in World War II, that's the kind of that, and we see it around us with the intolerance on both sides. It's scary. And what's really scary is that technology is moving so fast. For thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, we all pretty much lived the same way. There was a high standard of luxury that we could attain, but no one was moving faster than the speed of a horse. Everyone was living by candlelight, technology pretty much didn't improve. It improved, and it fell apart during the medieval era, and it resumed. But up until about 1900, people were still doing things more or less the same way they had been for 200,000 years. Horse, carriage, house, or a hut, or what have you. Very simplistic, It wasn't until you started having, the Industrial Revolution and things started speeding up. Things started moving so fast. And things are going every day. Everything's going faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. And it's like, can we keep up with that? I have a hard time with passwords, And I understand the Amish. the Amish were onto something. They were like, yeah, hey, yo, we're done. We're cool. y'all want electric lights? No, that's you guys go have your fun. We're gonna keep our beards and our bonfires and yeah, we're gonna make some cool barns. But yeah, you do your thing. The Amish said they didn't want to go any further. They saw where technology was leading. It made life crazier. Made everything more chaotic. I mean, the Amish movement was a recognition that progress leads to more stress. Ignorance is bliss. And that's what the Amish were like, hey, we're going to quit while we're ahead. And I don't blame them. I don't want to be Amish. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be still in the rat race, but the race is getting faster, it's getting harder, it's getting rattier. Don't want to be Amish. Even the Amish, even they're coming around even now. But society is not guaranteed, and there are very real possibilities that things could go wrong easily. And we see how angry people are. That's the other thing that scares me a lot. It's not so much that, hey, we have these weapons out there that could blow up the world, 10 times over, nuclear weapons. Yeah. We've had that for 80 years now, But there's so much hatred and anger, right here in this country. There's anger, and it's so volatile. We saw it with the BLM riots. We're seeing it with the Tesla stuff. 3 assassination attempts. I'm not just saying it's just from the left, and it's the right too. There's a lot of January 6th was not a good thing. Sorry, wasn't a good thing. Not a good look. Viking boy, wasn't a good look. Didn't need it. It's bad. We didn't need that. Violent, very violent. There's a lot of anger, and that's more of a threat, way more of a threat than, Iran getting its hands on a nuke. That would be bad. Don't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Let's go, get some bunker busters and blow them up. That's fine. No problem with that. But the anger that we have here in this country is something that needs to be addressed, and it boils out. It boils out in just look. I mean, you got these shootings. There's such anger. There's such anger. But, we'll explore that more. Maybe I should have called my show Rubell Anger and Art. Anger, Power, and Art. No, Art and Power is fine. But yeah, there's a lot of anger out there. And that's what's scary. That's scarier than any nuclear weapon. And it seems worse than, I mean, I wasn't around obviously during the Civil War, but I mean, you got people that really like despise one another, you know, people that grew up together that won't speak to each other because they voted for this party or that party. You know, I think the best, the most beautiful thing that we can do, you know, the best, you know, what Bill Maher and Trump sitting down together talking was great, you know, getting together and talking, you know, it's about priorities, reminding ourselves that we're human beings. You know, we have a lot of things to work on in this country. So we'll be looking at that. Subscribe to my channel. Go on, do it. You know you want to. Good night, America.